In bringing you this series of classic boners in radio and television, we turn back the clock to the early pioneer days of radio, for our starting point, to what is considered the granddaddy of all fluffs. Harry Von Zell, veteran announcer, was introducing the chief executive to millions of radio listeners who awaited this important address. Let's listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Hubert Heber.
On a local foreign language radio station in New York, this announcement was heard for Schwartz's department store.
With the hot weather upon us now, comfort is the important thing in the July and August dog days. Make it a point to stop in at Schwartz department store for the latest in Bermuda Schwartz.
I can promise you that Betty Crocker cake mixes bake perfect cakes. When your husband comes home tonight, surprise him. We know your husband will enjoy Betty Crocker upside down.
And now stay tuned for the news.
On radio's popular Hobby Lobby, movie star Stephen Fetchit was telling of his hobby collecting dice.
Well, Mr. Elman, these are loaded dice. These are not like the other ones I collected. These are loaded, and you can't mess with these. You use these dice, you're bound to crap regular.
World-famous Lowell Thomas, one of the airwave's best-known commentators, has a sense of humor which is sometimes uncontrollable.
President Eisenhower today visited the Chocolate City. The president driving into Hershey, Pennsylvania to celebrate his 63rd birthday. 30,000 or more people were cheering him, all the folks who make Hershey chocolate with and without nuts. Fred Waring was on hand to conduct a chorus of 1,800. Ben Hogan to give an exhibition on how he drives the golf ball. And that was a special interest to our chocolate president. A demonstration like that famous Ben Hogan power golf.
Well, Lowell, I won't putter around with that one. Instead, I'll tee off with a tip to those car buyers who like to drive a hard bargain. Now your local Kaiser and Henry J. dealer wants you to know about the new low Henry J. price. Only $1,399 plus rate and local taxes. And that means the lowest down payment, lowest monthly payments on any new car. In fact, after down payment, you can own a new Henry J. for less than $10 a week. And I'll need $10 a week from now on, so come on in tomorrow.
One lesson an announcer learns is to make sure he is off the air before he makes any private comments. But even the greatest sometimes slip. A legend is Uncle Don's remark after he had closed his famous children's program. Let's turn back the clock.
Good night, little friends, good night. I'll tune in again tomorrow at the same time, and I'll be back with all my little friends. We're off. I get that all little back tonight.
Let's listen to this sportscaster's description of a football team's ace kicker.
The score at the half remained 6-6, but during the third quarter, the Crimson really came to life, scoring a touchdown on 8 successive plays. The turning point came when the coach sent in his ass passer. Ace passer.
And don't forget to go to your neighborhood theater and see To Hell and Back, starring Audie Murphy, World War II hero and battle-scared veteran.
A noted Hollywood commentator inadvertently gave her listeners this unusual bit of news.
It's that kind of a picture. Take the kiddies with you. Today, one of our best-known movie personalities traveled incognito to Hot Springs for his annual bath.
The word indigent means poor or needy. Listen to what happened to this baseball manager who was plugging the All-Star baseball game.
So we urge you to show up, because if you want to see some of the greatest pitching and the greatest hitting from some of the best players in the game, when you show up, and remember that the proceeds from these All-Star games go to indigent ball players.
On a country barn dance show, the rural announcer had a struggle with a French phrase and came out the loser in this manner.
We're going to hoop it up and have a real dazzler. Charlie Docker will do the calling for the Paul Jones. And food? Yes, sir, the best you ever had. Right after the barn dance, the piece of ass resistance is fried chicken.
Out in the Midwest, local listeners heard this spot announcement for a thriving gaseteria.
Serve yourself the modern way at White's Gaseteria. It's just drive up and fill her up. And while you're at it, take time out for lunch. White's has the best food on the road. White's the finest spot on the turnpike to eat and get gas.
Here's an incident that occurred on a Man in the Street program.
Your 5th trip to New York. Hey, you two really do get around.
Yes, we do.
Well, now, what about last year? Where did you go then?
Last year, we took a trip around the world.
And this year, we're going to go someplace else.
Announcers are human, too, and some of them, despite their professional training, can lose their perspective. Listen to what happened to this sports announcer who thought he had been cut off the air.
In the National League, the Cubs edged out Milwaukee 2-1. The Cards were taken by the Dodgers 6-4, behind the 3-hit pitching of Don Newcomb. And hey, you pulled out my AC power. You in the brown suit I'm supposed to be on the air. You pulled out my plug. Well, put the damn thing back in. You pulled out my AC, you buffoon. Well, there, somebody did. Okay, all right. In tennis at Forest Hills, the national tennis doubles got underway this afternoon.
You have to be careful when you're dealing with Junior on radio. Popular Art Linkletter got tripped up when he asked a youngster, "Who do you resemble most, your mother or father?"
I don't look like my mommy or my daddy. I look like the mailman.
Microphone equipment is becoming smaller and less conspicuous. At a wrestling match, an announcer was busily describing the action in the ring when he was approached by a wrestling fan.
It's nice to see we got such a big crowd here tonight. It's a great turnout. We got some wonderful matches for you. Now, the main event of the evening is going to be 2 falls out of 3. Chief Bender is going to wrestle with Sandor Kovacs. Promises to be real exciting. But first, let's get a word in from our sponsor. Hey, Mag, where's the can?
Continuing with our recorded memory lane, we hear 2 real old favorites. We'll spin this platter now with Only a Bird in a Gilded Cage on the front side, and I Wonder Who's Kissing Her Now on the back side.
Here is the case of an announcer who confused an earnest plea for savings bonds with a special health bulletin.
You owe it to yourself to invest in your future. Don't forget to buy government savings bonds. Help stamp out America.
Good evening. There is very little weather throughout the United States.
Here is an incident that occurred on an audience participation program where the contestant should have left well enough alone.
All right, lady, now this is your chance to win $5 silver. Can you please tell me the meaning of the word octopus?
Let me see. I think I know. Octopus. Is that a fish on the bottom of the ocean? It has several testicles? Well, what are they all laughing at?
That's all right, lady. Don't feel so bad. You're not the only one that gets that word all balled up.
Our annual report of the committee reveals that health conditions aren't all they should be. The city's beaches have an appalling amount of litter, and the check at the municipal swimming pools reveals some startling figures.
In a Midwestern town, a bedding concern rented space from a funeral home. Let's listen to one of their commercials.
So, friends, Beauty Rest mattresses are made to give you that extra support to make your night's sleep the best, the most comfortable you've ever had. See for yourself. If you want to ensure yourself of the rest you deserve, visit Johnson's Funeral Parlor.
Aside from the high degree of surgical efficiency here at the municipal hospital, the student nurses are really something to see. Anybody would welcome a session in bed with one of these beautiful nurses.
Let's eavesdrop on a Hollywood starlet being interviewed at the premiere of her newest picture.
You know, it's wonderful to see someone so young who's so serious about her career.
Well, I am. Really, I am.
Well, what's next on the program? Broadway?
Well, I don't think so. I like Hollywood, except for one thing.
What's that?
I'd like a change from all that spooky stuff. You know, mummies and Frankensteins and monsters. You know what the trouble is? I'm getting typed. I'm sick and tired of being cast in those horror pictures.
Here's a disc jockey who got too mellow for his own good.
Can't you smell that magnolia in the air? And those honeysuckles? Can't you see that Spanish moss weaving from old weeping willows? I don't have to tell you. It's Stephen Foster music time with those wonderful songs of the old South.
Television has its share of weather girls who read quickly changing weather reports.
Here's your weather report for Rochester and vicinity. Tomorrow, fair and mild with stormy gales, winds and gusts up to 60 miles an hour, with sleet expected.
There have been many ball players who have been able to handle a bat from either the left or right side of the batter's box. But I think most sports writers will agree that Mickey Mantle is one of the greatest swish hitters of all times. I beg your pardon. I mean, Mickey is one of the greatest switch hitters of all times. Switch hitters of all times. That's Mickey.
Too many products can confuse an announcer. Here's a case in point.
Start your day right, Mother. Make your breakfast a hearty one and enjoy a truly tasty cup of coffee made from the finest South American tobacco.
Technical difficulties with a PA system during the broadcast of a speech by a well-known lecturer brought forth this startling result.
Unions did not become important in our national life until after 1825, when several unions opposed such practices as imprisonment for debt and favored free schools and the 10-hour day. The first large and temporarily successful national union
Hey,
was
Charlie,
called the
can you
Noble
fix that
Order
speaker,
of
please? There
Knights
seems to be
of
a screw
Labor,
loose in the speaker.
founded in 18...
Have you ever wondered what would happen to a radio performer if he developed hiccups during a broadcast? Let's listen to this commentator who had no choice but to carry on.
Membership of the United Nations is open to all peace-loving nations which accept the obligations of the United Nations Charter and in the judgment of the organization are able and willing to carry out the obligations. The original members of the United Nations are those countries which signed the Declaration by United Nations of January 1st, 1942, or took part in the San Francisco Conference, and which signed and ratified the Charter. Other countries can be admitted by the General Assembly upon the recommendation of the Security Council. 9 countries have thus been admitted. The present December 1952 number of members is 60. You have a drink of water. Thank you very much.
And for you farmers now, remember, the name is Trap. T-R-A-P. Trap insecticide will trap and kill all bugs and fungus and will make your crop grow the way nature intended it. So don't forget, it's Trap for a healthier crop.
A well-known former jockey, now a sportscaster, came out with this description before a big race at the Hialeah racetrack.
One of the unusual sidelights in today's running of the Widener Handicap here at Hialeah concerns Rock Castle. It wasn't so long ago that this horse broke its leg, and it looked as if they were going to have to shoot the owner.
So get your vacation spot fast and enjoy every fun-packed minute of it. Don't delay. Call today and learn all about how you can get there fast and save money with Trans-American Airlines half-ass rates.
On Climax, popular TV dramatic series, a young lady was describing the terrific value of a new automobile.
Try it for yourself. Your dealer will be glad to give you a chance to get behind the wheel. Feel that power. Float on that smooth action. And then be surprised that a car like this can be yours for the amazingly low, unbelievable price of $7,200. Well, that should be $2,700.
And friends, if you're in New York, you can drop by the Majestic Theater and take in Fanny. We understand that Josh Logan's Fanny is the biggest thing in town. I mean it.
words and phrases often used at home inadvertently find themselves going out over the airwaves.
Let me get this straight. You say when your wife serves dinner, she serves the dessert first?
Yeah, my wife does everything ass backwards.
An announcer doing a commercial for Knickerbocker Beer came on the air after an interview with Jane Mansfield.
Next time you're at your local tavern, restaurant, or delicatessen, don't forget to knock knock for Bigger Knocker Beer.
Bride and Groom is a program that tries to give newlywed couples all sorts of gifts to help their married life get off to a good start.
And as a final gift for your wedding, we have a wonderful surprise for you. This beautiful original Parisian wedding gown.
Oh, I already have my wedding gown. What I really need is a heavy-duty mattress. Here's an item of local interest. We regret to learn that Mrs. Van Hoofen is recovering from a bad fall on the ice.
And now, on our giant screen, that great circus picture, See Trapeze, starring Burt Lancaster, Tony Curtis, and Gina Lola Brigida in tremendous proportions.
There are some confusing words in this language of ours. For example, brazier, spelled B-R-A-Z-I-E-R, meaning a holder for hot coals. But that isn't the way this announcer saw it.
And the last memo, ladies, from your radio shopping service is a Father's Day reminder. It's barbecue time, and Schmidt's Hardware at 234 Main Street at the corner of Maple is featuring an ideal gift for Dad on his special day. An all-purpose brazier for delicious outdoor meals.
Down in Washington, the legal tangle got to be just too hot for the Teamsters boss union man. According to latest reports received here, Dave Beck has just sent for his liar.
On a household safety program, this is what happened to an announcer and his doctor guest when a question had an unexpected answer.
What would you say is the most dangerous room in the house?
I should think either the bathroom or the kitchen.
Well, here's a surprise. According to a recent study, 1/4 of all accidents take place in the bedroom. The kitchen and the yard, where they still have yards, are next in order.
How do you account for the bedroom being such a dangerous place, Doctor?
The one thing in radio and television that never changes is time. The clock on the wall won't wait for anybody. You have to start your show on time and finish your show on time. When you are running late, things like this are bound to happen.
It's a 9-pound boy born at Memorial Hospital for Mr. and Mrs. Jack Jason of Elm Road. Mrs. Jason was the former Susan Mulhaney of Sudbury. Services will be held tomorrow at 2 p.m. at Morton's Funeral Chapel for Jasper Howard, age 91, who passed on in his sleep yesterday. I'm sorry, our time is running out, so several deaths and births will have to be postponed until next week at the same time.
This is the final warning. Failure to report to your alien officer may result in your deportation or prostitution.
He admitted that although he's traveled almost everywhere and played on almost every course, Sammy Sneed had his greatest difficulty playing the Augusta Golf Course.
Television exercise programs are conducted in the wee hours of the morning when even the MC can be bleary-eyed.
And now, ladies, we're going to keep a trim waistline and do an exercise in which you stand perfectly straight with your feet spread apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, bend, 2, 3, 4, straight, 2, 3, 4. That's right, 2, 3, 4. Don't stop, ladies. Fine. Well, ladies, I see our time is running out. We hope we'll see you tomorrow morning with the Stay Fit Career Girl Club. We'll see you at 6 a.m. tomorrow, and until then, remember, it's the early worm that gets the bird.
And from Cheyenne comes word that the 34th Wyoming State Legislature is in its final week of lawbreaking.
Children on radio and television are unpredictable at best. Listen to what happened when a little child was asked, "How did your parents meet?"
My mommy and daddy met when they were roommates in college.
A Philadelphia announcer on station WIP started his station break too early. The engineer threw the switch to make the mic live after the announcement had begun.
IP on the 12th floor of the Gimbel store.
Here is an incident that happened in the early days of radio, resulting in hysteria at the expense of an unwitting and innocent contestant.
All right, young lady, it's your turn. What was the greatest surprise you ever had?
Gee, what a question. Let me think. Oh, yeah. The best surprise that I ever had was when my husband got out of the Army. I woke up one morning and he was standing by my bed with his discharge in his hand. Oh, I don't mean that.
6 p.m. Central Time. Central Standard Time. This is your Prudential News reporter bringing you up-to-the-minute news from the wires of UP and IP. IP and UP.
A copywriter who confused a shoe commercial with a watch commercial made this announcer his unfortunate victim.
9 p.m. BULOVA, Bulova Watch Time. This Christmas, buy her the new Bulova President. Curved to fit the foot. Curved to fit the foot? Huh?
So when you're out shopping, ladies, be sure to look for Dugan's light diet bread, baked by Fresh Dugan Brothers.
In radio and television, nothing interferes with a station break. When a program runs too long, an announcer may have to cut off the air rapidly. Listen to what happened in this case.
The floodwaters are up to a record high. It's doubted if the levees can hold out much longer. Devastation is everywhere. And all I can say as I stand here is, this is KDOO Tulsa.
Tonight, your city station brings you a summertime treat. We take you to Central Park Mall for an appalling program of band music. I meant appealing.
Here's an incident from the popular Share the Wealth program of a few years ago.
All right, now here's your next chance to share the wealth. Now, this next series of questions pertains to animals and history. You got that? In each case, there is a person connected with history who had an association with an animal. Now, young lady, it's your turn. Now, where'd you say we're from again, young lady?
Brooklyn.
All right, Brooklyn. Now, as a Brooklynite, you should be well aware of the importance of history, right?
I don't.
Brooklyn has a long history in itself. But we're going to go way back to English history for you.
Oh,
now, what animal do you associate with Lady Godiva?
Say ya. Oh, air!
This is the Belt Zone Broadcasting Corporation.
Judge Walter Thompson warned that the manufacturers that the court had already handed down a decision and would look with disfavor upon anyone who tampered with his union suit.
That was the latest national and international news direct from the wires of the Associated Press. And now for an item on the lighter side. Hollywood. Jane Russell's husband, Bob Waterfield, was reported to have said in a recent interview, "I don't want her to do either housework or cooking. I don't want her to endanger her career by bending over a hot stove." And that's the news.
Tune in now to Ringside, where an exciting fight is in progress.
What an action-packed round that was. 3 minutes of thrilling excitement. While we're waiting for round 4, fans, how about joining me in a glass of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer?
With this handy automatic dishwasher, all you have to do is twist a button and push a lever. I beg your pardon. Push a button and twist a lever.
We got to rock. We got to roll. Rock and roll fans, here's the latest platter from that ever-popular pepper pot, Pelvis Pursley.
On a popular program on which occupations are guessed, the contestant was a mattress stuffer. One of the panelists asked this.
Is your product used by one sex over another?
Dick Powell has informed us that he's got plans for coming east. He and his wife, actress June Allison, will fly to New York as soon as his broken arm is healed.
It's The Last Riot. It's a musical treat. It's the film version of the hit Broadway show Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, starring Jane Russell and Marilyn Monroe. Yes, sir, the big ones come to RKO.
And word comes to us from Washington that Ake has a stomach ache.
Sometimes an announcer can get a cue prematurely. He may not be ready for it. Here from the Igor Cassini Show is an example of the consequences.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, a word from our announcer.
Me? So soon? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Now back to Igor Cassini.
Here's a brief extract from a ringside interview with a wrestler.
Well, I tell you, I was out in Las Vegas one time, and I wrestled this guy. He's about 220 pounds. I threw the bum right out of the ring.
How many fights did you have? How many matches, actually?
Oh, I had quite a few. I must have had around 97 or 98.
No kidding. Did you win them all?
I won most of them. I wrestled 60 matches without any draws.
Why not keep a couple of economical large-size bottles in your refrigerator? It's delicious. A full 32-ounce size that will serve sex easily.
At Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, many strange things happen. The public address system brings many startling announcements, as witness this case.
Your attention, please. Your attention, please. Will the ladies in the box behind the visiting team's dugout kindly cooperate by removing their clothing?
The microphone is a sensitive instrument and can be dangerous. Listen to this female announcer who forgot that the microphone was listening.
And now, audience, here is our special TV matinee guest that we've all been waiting for. World-famous author, lecturer, and world traveler, and man about town, Mr. Oh, what the hell is his name?
Hollandale's is open until 9. And don't forget that Hollandale's has the latest maternity fashions for the modern miss.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you our beauty queen, Miss Florine Stowe. How are you, Miss Stowe?
I'm just fine.
I bet you're very happy and excited about all of this, aren't you?
I sure am.
Where are you from, Miss Stowe?
I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida.
Wonderful. St. Petersburg, that's a very beautiful country down there.
Gorgeous.
You know, Miss Stowe, may I tell you that you are one of the prettiest girls that I've ever seen in a bathing suit?
Well, thank you. I've been told I look just as nice without a bathing suit.
When you're thinking of an all-season thirst quencher, it's a delight, winter or summer. Instant white rose, hot or cold, orange, Tico P.
As for acting honors, it was a walkaway for Ernest Borgnine for his job in Marty. And for her work in Rose Tattoo, Anna McNanny deserved to be this year's Anatomy Award winner.
Many advertising agencies mark their scripts to show which points to emphasize. Listen to this nervous novice announcer doing his first commercial.
Collins bread is slow baked. Punch this. That means that, make this sincere, every inch of each loaf is evenly browned, making for delicious, wholesome, super digestible bread. When your grocer asks you, emphasize this, be sure you say, Collins bread.
And now, a medley of tunes from Walt Disney Films. Hi diddly dee, When You Wish Upon a Star, and I've seen everything when I see an elephant fly.
Our Homes and Gardens show was represented by Mrs. Browning, who was at the flower show with her twin daughters, Alice, age 6, and Audrey, age 9.
We take you now to a musical program broadcast by the BBC in London.
Here's an all-time favorite made popular by the famous Miss Jessie Matthews several years back. Dancing on the Ceiling. This one surely deserves to be on every British hit list.
Today, I would like to explain to all you boys and girls how to go about forming your own 4-H club. The chief requisite is to have an adult leader like myself, which can be a man or woman, or a combination of both.
There are bargain flights every day. You can fly to Miami, Seattle, San Francisco, Montreal. Today, for example, you can fly to Dallas, Texas for only $32.
Good afternoon. This is your daily weather forecaster bringing you up-to-the-minute weather news direct from the municipal airport. Word has just reached us that a southeast girl flowing at about 70 miles an hour is reported on her way.
Listen to an incident from one of your favorite cowboy adventure programs.
He come hightailing out of that saloon like a coyote come howling out of a canyon. But the varmint didn't get away. He got his foot caught in the syrup.
Here's an old favorite. Tenor with organ, looking for a girl named Sally.
Anyone can be responsible for a blooper. And to prove the point, here's one that came from the typewriter of a continuity writer.
Ladies, before we bring you our new Gene Autry record, here's a word from our new sponsor, the Smith Laundry. I mean, you may have had problems with your husband's shirts or different kinds of underwear. Where it comes from the laundry torn by machinery, well, you won't have that trouble because we do it carefully by hand.
Also aboard the Italian liner, back in the U.S. for a brief visit and a medical checkup, is Ambassadress Clara Luce Booth. I beg your pardon. That should have been Miss Claire Luce Booth.
At the launching of a ship in Norway, a local announcer with a fine Oxford accent but not too good a grasp of English was doing the shortwave broadcast when this occurred.
The Duchess handled the launching beautifully, smashing the champagne bottle against the prow with the aplomb of an expert. The crowd cheered as she slipped majestically down the greasy runway into the sea.
So, ladies, before we bring you our special guest, I'd like you to remember, when you go to your grocer, be sure and ask for Seal Test ice cream containing Joy, the wonderful new household detergent.
And here's some news of local interest. From Europe comes word that Private Wilson of Greenpoint, Germany, is missing in the Soviet zone of Brooklyn.
Interviews can bring strange answers. Listen to this excerpt from a luncheon show from a famous New York restaurant.
Show business is a gamble. Take a big chance, but then, you know, there's always a big payoff when a show does become a hit. Well, for example, I know I'd like to have a piece of My Fair Lady.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for music, so welcome to the Dinosaur Show.
7 p.m. Central Standard Time. For the latest in movie equipment, stop at Harrison's Camera Store for the latest in Hell and Bowel equipment.
Shouldn't that be going now? At your local RKO theater starting Monday through Friday, be sure to see Betty Davis in The Virgin Queen and Tonight's the Night.
Here's another handy service from your Tintex dealer. Just stop in at any dealer who handles Tintex, and he will give you a free demonstration telling you how to dye in your washing machine.
An announcer may sometimes skip a line of his script. This is what happened to a local newsman who did just that.
And here's another local news item of interest to you veterans. Tonight there will be a meeting at the 32nd Armory, sponsored by veterans of foreign wars. We want to be sure that all those who died for his country will attend.
A small-town sportscaster who was not familiar with the name of a nationally known tennis star came up with this blooper.
Well, so much for baseball fans. Now, from Forest Hill comes words that Vic Siexis will be able to play in the Cup Finals after all. It's a chance for him to add one more laurel to his crown. It's an exciting thing to realize that Vic Siexis has won many national as well as many sexual championships.
Tonight at 10, it's Chills and Shivers. Tune in on that master of suspense, the well-known Hollywood director, Alfred Hitchcock. That should be Alfred Hitchcake.
This broadcast is coming to you from the heart of Chicago, the pimp room of the Hotel Ambassador.
We take you now to Rochester for the National Open Golf Tourney.
Well, sports fans, Carrie Middlecoff has done it again. With a one-stroke win over veteran Ben Hogan, the golf world has a new opium champion.
And now here's further news on the recent crime wave. Police are finding it difficult to come up with a solution to the murders. The commissioner says that the victims are unwilling to cooperate.
It looks like another big one for Dodie Day. Now, you've just heard the front side of Doris Day's latest hit, Secret Love. Let's take a look at her backside. That is, her other side.
Of course, I have had considerable experience in child psychology, and particularly in dealing with juvenile delinquents. In one case of this youngster who was well on the road to becoming a habitual criminal, I was able to straighten the boy out by putting my finger on his problem.
Here's an incident from the soap opera Young Dr. Malone.
Scalpel.
Scalpel.
Hemostat.
Hemostat.
Suture.
Suture.
Hypodermic needle.
Stay tuned when immediately following station identification, Mutual presents Fulton Lewis, Jr.
Everyone's talking about Tony Ferguson's wonderful job in the new Gary Cooper film. He practically steals the picture. Here's a bulletin. 20th Century Fox has just bought the right to a new naval for Marilyn Monroe.
Sometimes news editors write copy in a hurry. The results can be surprising, as witness this local newscast.
And here's another local news item. Miss Marie Bailey of 143 Elm Street, who fled from her home in the nude and was taken to jail by local police, was released after being held for several days for observation.
When a station carries two programs, one local and one network, the crossing of the two lines can bring unexpected effects. Listen to this.
The recipe this afternoon is for potato pancakes. I'm sure you'll all enjoy them. You take 6 medium-sized potatoes, 1 onion, 1 egg, pepper and salt, and then you fry them in deep fat, and I'm sure your guests will just love them.
Funeral services will be held promptly at 2 o'clock.
We're mighty proud of these 4-H clubs. Work they do throughout the country is something that makes every farm man proud to know his boys are growing up, know how to handle the things that you have to handle here on the farms. Now, Bill Jorgen, for your work in sanitation and hygienics, I'm proud to present this plaque to you.
This is Mrs. Jonathan Van Dyke bringing to you your weekly news about social happenings and events in our town. Last night's social at the community hall was a huge success. The gymnasium overflowed with gifts for the Korean orphans. All ladies present brought something they didn't need, and we were delighted to see so many bring their husbands.
This is PFC Helen Miller of the United States Army Recruiting Corps. I want to tell you young men that there is an opportunity for you with an insured future with the United States Army. The United States Army is known throughout the world for the care, training, and handling of its privates.
We tune in now to a United Nations news summary.
The conference at the UN regarding the Russian proposal is expected to come to a successful conclusion at the end of this session.
Contestants on audience participation programs are often nervous and sometimes give strange answers.
Now, this shouldn't be too hard. Here it is. All I want you to do is to give me the names of 3 of Santa's reindeer. Now, just think back to the poem The Night Before Christmas and give me just 3 of the reindeer's names.
Let's think. There was Prancer.
That's right.
And Dancer.
Good. That's 2. Only one more. Prancer and Dancer and
Blinkers.
The entire crew of the bomber thought they had completed the mission unscathed. But on the way back from Korea, the super part burst into flame.
Here's one you've been hearing a lot on the Victor label. Ralph Flanagan's recording of Charmaine. Well, it looks like Victor's really plugging Charmaine.
Here's an incident from a man-on-the-street quiz show.
Now, Mr. Esposito, are you ready for your second question?
That's all right.
Your category is bodies of water. Tell me, where would you find the Great Lakes?
The Great Lakes. Upper U.S.